Are you someone who wishes to write short stories, but struggles with putting them together? Or are you a short story writer who wishes to refine your approach to them, and so would like another perspective? Either way, I'm confident I can help you because short stories haven't always been my forte. I wished to make them, but I once lacked the mindset needed for making satisfying, shorter works. Everything I came up with ballooned into bigger stories or just felt incomplete to me. It is only thanks to a lesson from Mary Robinette Kowal that I got on the right path for short stories. This lesson, plus my experiences watching Ninja Warrior, reading Arsène Lupin's short stories, and studying Kishotenketsu, is what transformed me into someone who can confidently tackle short stories now. And I want to pay this lesson forward to you. So, first, let's begin with Mary Robinette's lesson on short stories. Here's the underlying difference between short stories and novels. Short stories are about delivering a specific emotional punch. Novels, meanwhile, are more geared towards exploring and the journey. For me, this clicked when it comes to my experience as a fan of Ninja Warrior. Something my dad once said when we were watching the American version is that he missed the more focused, quick experience we often got with the Japanese focused episodes back in the G4 TV days. I feel the same at times. And thinking back on this random moment is what helped me grasp short stories. A novel is the documentaries we get on someone prior to running the course, on top of following them all the way through from qualifiers to the main course. We're exploring all these things about the person, their journey, and building more and more of a connection with them. A short story is like when this person dressed in a dinosaur suit ran the course. It gets in, gives the focal emotional experience, humor and all in this case, and then ends after doing its job. The shorter the story, such as flash fiction, the more focused on that specific core emotion experience the story must be. Anyway, as foundational as that lesson is to everything I do now, it isn't what completed my understanding of short stories. I needed the right structure for it, so I can consistently create short stories of all sorts. Given the emphasis on emotional experiences, I realized another tool based around that could complement her lesson quite well. Ki-Sho-Ten-Ketsu. For those who aren't familiar with Kishotenketsu, it's an Eastern 4-act structure. Ki is about introducing things, as you can see here in this example from a gag in Kekigori Kari, a Kekigori comedy spin-off. Sho, meanwhile, continues to develop what is introduced. These two parts are all the rising action. Ten is the action, the activity being built to. Many will use twist here, where something unexpected or new that contextualizes happens, but I wish to make clear that it's all about the activity this is building up to. So, for instance, it could be a moment where a character comes to an epiphany, or finally achieving some specific action or whatever. The main takeaway is that this here is the climax of everything that's being built to, the crux of the entire narrative. Ketsu, finally, is the resolution that brings everything together and shows the results of the preceding 3 acts. I believe this is the ideal structure for short stories because this aligns perfectly with the short story's need to create a strong impression in a limited space. It mirrors the way short stories operate, with an emphasis on the build and release of tension and interest. If you don't believe me, let me show you what I mean with a summary of my favorite short story, The Escape of Arsène Lupin. It's a little under 7,000 words, and it's the final piece in my journey that helped everything click together. At the beginning, in the key part, we're introduced to Arsène Lupin in prison, awaiting trial for his numerous crimes. Despite being incarcerated, he manages to send a message to a journalist, indicating he has a means of communication. Add in his repeat declaration that he will escape, and so prison officials are worried that he'll do as he says. This leads to them investigating Lupin's cell and finding various items, including a suspicious cigar with a gold band. This leads to a meticulous examination of Lupin's belongings, revealing a hidden message in the cigar indicating an escape plan. They try to bait out Lupin's people by providing an escape opportunity, but Lupin uses it to walk around town, go to a restaurant, make clear that he is Arsène Lupin, and then just returns to prison. Everything going on so far is all about building up to Lupin's escape. The show here is all about the building suspense of how Lupin will pull this off, especially since he stated he won't be at the trial. The core emotion used is eager anticipation for Lupin's plan to go into action. After the whole incident with Lupin out in public, Lupin goes overall quiet for the remaining 2 months when the public at large speculate how Lupin will escape. The trial itself is to 10. All sorts of people show up, and Lupin himself is brought in. Except the man presents himself isn't Lupin, but in fact, Bardeau Desiré. Ganimard, the investigator who arrested Lupin, analyzes Bardeau, and concludes that he is in fact not Lupin, meaning Lupin somehow escaped. Eager anticipation transforms into shock. Finally, after Bardeau is inspected and confirmed to not be Lupin, we shift to the resolution, Ketsu, where Ganimard confronts him after his release, and Bardeau reveals that he is indeed Lupin the whole time. The story is wrapped up with Lupin explaining the entire confidence scheme he ran to ensure his freedom, and how Ganimard can't reveal the truth because nobody will believe him, especially after he said that Bardeau wasn't Lupin. The emotional experience here is all at Lupin's brilliance, and once that's complete, the story, much like this video, comes to an end. If you want some additional help with short stories, I recommend giving my video on the 10 entertainment emotions a look. In it, I create a reference guide you can use for constructing the emotional experiences that short stories thrive on.